نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون قال قائل منهم إني كان لي قرين يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين أئذا متنا وكنا ترابا وعظاما أئنا لمدينون قال هل أنتم مطلعون فاطلع فرآه في سواء الجحيم قال تالله إن كدت لتردين ولولا نعمة ربي لكنت من المحضرين أفما نحن بميتين إلا موتتنا الأولى وما نحن بمعذبين إن هذا لهو الفوز العظيم لمثل هذا فليعمل العاملون. Respectful honorable friends, in last week's tafsir, the verses that we had covered, in it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned and made mention of the plight of those in the fire of Jahannam. And then after mentioning this, and specifically a dialogue between the peers, those who had been followed, and how their followers will accuse them of misleading them, and the peers will blame those who followed them, and what their plight will be, that innakum ladha'iqul adhabil alim, that you will also definitely taste a grievous punishment. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the exception is illa ibadullahi al-mukhlasin, the selected bondsmen of Allah ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned some description of His bounties in Jannat. Having mentioned this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the verses recited to you, Allah ta'ala says, قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ إِنِّي كَانَ لِي قَرِينٌ, that one of them will say, now this goes back to the previous verse, that when the people of Jannat will be sat with one another in such a manner that they will be on ala sururi mutaqabilin, sitting on thrones facing one another. So at that time then فَأَخْبَرَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, they will face each other questioning one another. So they will be in conversation in such a manner, so while they will be sitting there, they will face each other questioning each other. And قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ إِنِّي كَانَ لِي قَرِينٌ, one of them will say that I had a certain companion. يَقُولُ أَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُصَدِّقِينَ, who used to say, are you from those who confirm, meaning are you from those who believe in the resurrection? That إِذَا مِتْنَا, that when we will die, وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا, and we become sand, وَعِظَامًا, and bones, أَإِنَّا لَمَدِينُونَ, will we be given retribution for the deeds that we have done. With regards to this conversation that will take place in this incident, who specifically is the qa'il and who the qareen is, who this person is and who his companion is, this is something that hasn't been mentioned here in the Qur'an. So it could be any individuals. However, some Mufassirin have mentioned that these two individuals are the same who have been mentioned in Surah Kahf, of Yehuda and Matrus, that it is these two individuals. And other Mufassirin have mentioned, and there is also a riwayat in which the incident which this refers to is mentioned. And that is amongst the Banu Israel, there were two friends, and they were business partners. After their business, whatever venture they were in, they had made a profit of 8,000 dinars. So they had then distributed that between the two. The one partner who was a lot wealthier thought to himself that there's no point being in partnership with this individual as he doesn't really have much to invest. So they split up and they distributed whatever they'd earned. 4,000 was given to one, 4,000 was given to the other. Then they went their own ways. From there then the one, what he had done is that from his 4,000, he spent 1,000 and he bought a plot of land. When he bought this plot of land, he invited this companion of his to see the plot that he had purchased. Seeing this individual, the other partner, he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the profit that we had, this companion of mine, he has bought a plot here. Allah, I buy from you and I purchase a plot in the hereafter in Jannat. So he gave 1,000 in charity. After that, the one who had bought the plot, he then spent another 1,000 and he built a house on that plot. And then he made a da'wat and he invited his companion, his friend here. He went, and when he saw the house, he liked the house, a nice house. So then he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, he has purchased and built the house. Allah, I purchased and built the house for myself in Jannat, and he gave 1,000 in charity. After which then this individual, now he's got the land, he has a house, so what's next? The wife. So he got married. And in the expense of the marriage and the dowry, he gave 1,000 there. So nikah time, he invites his friend comes as well. And then he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he spent 1,000 on his wife in marriage. Allah, I spent 1,000 for a wife in Jannat. And he gave 1,000 in charity. And then not long after that, this companion of his, he with that 1,000 he had, he bought some slaves and some other goods and merchandise from that 1,000. And then he mentioned this to his companion. What he did is, and he said to Allah Ta'ala, that Allah, he's spent it on this. So I also spent it for the sake of good things for myself in Jannat. And he gave his 1,000 in charity. After he gave his 1,000 charity, a time came wherein now he didn't have anything left, so he was in hardship, difficulty. So he thought to himself, look, we've got old ties here, let me go to him and ask him, maybe he'll help me out and he'll borrow some money to me. So he goes to his friend and the companion and he asks him to help him. To which he says to him that, hang on, where's the 4,000 that you made? The money that you made, where has that gone to? Where's all that gone to? To which then he said, that I gave it all in charity. And then when he said, I give it in charity, his friend said to him, that are you foolish or what? That do you really believe in these type of fantasies? That after you're going to die, you're going to get the reward of it, there's going to be hereafter, and then you're going to get this house and this Jannat and this wife and all the things that you're on about. There's something wrong with you, go. I'm not going to help you at all. I'm not going to help you at all. And how do you, and do you really actually believe in these type of things, that this will really happen, that after we die and we become sand and bones, that we're going to be resurrected and will be rewarded, and that is nothing but just made up. That is the incident that the Mufassirin have mentioned, referring to this dialogue that takes place here, that قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ, one of them will say, إِنِّي كَانَ لِي قَرِينٌ, I had a certain companion. And this companion is the one who did not believe in the hereafter. يَقُولُ, who would say, إِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُصَدِّقِينَ, are you from those who confirm in, do you really believe in it? In what? The resurrection? that إِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَإِذَا أَإِنَّا لَمَدِينُونَ, that will we really be given retribution when we die and become sand and bones, meaning will there really be such thing as being rewarded or punished for our actions? Once we become sand and bones, that's it, there's nothing further than that. قَالَ هَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُطَّلِعُونَ, then he, the one who is in Jannat, will ask those who are around him that هَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُطَّلِعُونَ, that do you want to have a look? So he will be given this opportunity, or the angels will say to him that do you want to go and witness, and do you want to see this companion of yours and witness him there? So he'll say to the people that you want to go and see him. You want to go and visit him, see him. فَاطَّلَعَ فَرَآهُ فِي سَوَاءِ الْجَحِيمِ, when he looks, he will see him in the midst of Jahannam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the opportunity to go and look into the fire Jahannam and find this companion of his. So he will look for him in the fire Jahannam, and he will see him where fi sawa'il jahim, in the midst of Jahannam. And that's when he'll say, قَالَتَ اللَّهِ إِن كِدْتَ لَتُرْدِينَ. That's when the believer, the mu'min will say, he will say, by Allah, إِن كِدْتَ لَتُرْدِينَ, you almost destroyed me. Meaning that had you influenced me, and if I had fallen for what you had said, then I would have been with you as well in the fire of Jahannam. Had I also followed your way, whereas وَلَوْلَا نِعْمَةُ رَبِّي لَكُنْتُ مِنَ الْمُهْضَرِينَ, if it were not for the bounty of my Rabb, then لَكُنْتُ مِنَ الْمُهْضَرِينَ, I would have certainly been from those muhdareen, brought forward, meaning brought forward for the punishment. أَفَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَيِّتِينَ, is it not so that we shall not die again? He says this out of the people of Jannah will ask, out of astonishment this is. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give this Jannati that opportunity to address this friend of his who will be in the fire of Jahannam. One very, very important aspect of this verse is here, وَلَوْلَا نِعْمَةُ رَبِّي لَكُنْتُ مُهْضَرِينَ. And because of it being late, we don't want to go into take us too much time. That way he says that if it not for the bounty of my Rabb, then I would certainly be قَالَتَ اللَّهِ إِن كِدْتَ لَتُرْدِينَ, that by Allah you almost destroyed me. And it just shows here that how a person can very easily come under what the wrong influence, wrong companionship, and that can very easily lead to a person's destruction. These who were business partners, they were companions, they were friends. But are here, and one, look how good his beliefs were, and look how corrupt the beliefs of the other was. And the one whose beliefs were good, the believer himself mentions, Tallahi in kitta laturdeen, that you almost destroyed me. Meaning that it wasn't long far that I could have also have been influenced. Many times we may be in a company of those who are not on the righteous path and good path, and we think to ourselves that I'm firmly embedded. Iman is in my heart and I'm firmly on my ground. So I know what is right and wrong. I won't be swayed here or there, and I'm okay to, and I'm fine to be able to, look after myself. But the influence and the effect of bad company is such that all it takes is a few sentences or a few words here and there, and that can very easily corrupt an individual. Whereas if a person is in good company, then you'll know that if you do something good, you're going to get encouragement. You're going to be with good people. Even if you are not encouraged, then by seeing them, you'll become encouraged. So either they will encourage you by what they say to you, or by you seeing what they are doing, you'll become encouraged to do good as well. Whereas bad company, we do not know when what influence can affect an individual. As Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam gives an example of this as well, of righteous and good company compared to that of evil company. The Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives the example that a good company is like a person who goes to a perfume seller. And when you go to the perfume seller, either the person will do what? He may gift you a bottle of ether. So you go to somebody who sells ether, either. And a lot of times they are generous, this is what they do, they'll just give you a bottle of ether. If they do not give you a bottle of ether, then they usually have some testers or something there. It is open, anybody can utilize it, isn't it? So if you don't get the whole thing, you might be able to at least this free tester, isn't it? Some people do that as well, isn't it? They go to the stores and that just for the testing out. No intention of buying it. So anyhow, they have those testers there. Or even if there isn't any, just the fact that you're in a perfume shop, when you leave from there, there's going to be some fragrance on you. It's going to rub off on you. So this is what Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, that either you will become from the righteous, or the effects of that righteous company will rub off on you. Although that will be a bit weaker than actually becoming from the righteous, but at least that rubs off onto you. So you've achieved something. And the other example Nabi Sallallahu gives of a person coming in bad company is that if he gives the example, Nabi Sallallahu gives the example of a ironsmith. That when you come to him, a blacksmith, call him an ironmonger. So when you come to him, then he has what? He has heat, he has fire all the time. So either if you do not know what you're doing, you might go and touch something which you're not supposed to, and you'll burn yourself from there. And if you manage to save yourself from it, and you do not burn yourself, then because he's working with fire and smoke and that, definitely when you leave from there, you're going to smell of fire and smoke. So even if you don't scold yourself, the effects are on there. So you may just stand there with your hands away in such a safe place that, look, I'm not going to touch anything, and I'm going to make sure that my clothes or my hand, my body, nothing gets burnt or so. But when you leave from there, the effect of just that being in that company is going to already have its toll on you. That you leave from there with that smell of fire on you. So when we are in bad company, we assume to ourselves that, look, I haven't become bad all of a sudden. I haven't become bad at all, and the effect of that individual hasn't rubbed off onto me at all. I'm still fine, nothing's wrong with me at all. And we are very confident in this as well. But no, every wrong company, evil company, bad company, if it doesn't directly affect us, it definitely indirectly has an effect on an individual. The smoke is there, the smell is there, meaning some effect definitely rubs off onto what? The ruhaniyat of an individual. A person may not think of it at that time, but later down the road, you'll find that certain thoughts, or you start entertaining certain thoughts, or certain ideas, which then goes back to the ideas that this individual may have had. Something that this person had indicated towards or said or so. Years later you might find that is now pinning in your heart, and that is now knocking away in your heart, and it is now having an effect on your heart. Maybe later on somebody says something, and then you reflect back to what that person said, and now the seeds of doubts are in your mind. And in your heart you have some doubts about Deen in Islam because of a question that this person may have done, a comment that this person may have made, especially if this person of disbelief in kufr. And that can very easily then even lead a person towards kufr as well. That's why good company is very, very important. And we should not take it lightly. It doesn't mean that you cannot converse with, or you cannot approach and be with such people. But a person needs to be very, very cautious, and a person needs to be very careful with regards to the type of company that they are in. And when a person comes in the company of the righteous, even though you may think to yourself that, look, now immediately I haven't become righteous, that we've come to the company of the righteous, we sat with the righteous, we have good and pious friends. And the moment we leave from there, we depart from there, we expect that we're going to become a wali of Allah Ta'ala, we're going to become pious as well. If Allah Ta'ala wants, then you may become pious as well from that. But at least the effect is there, like the smell and the fragrance of perfume. Down the line, some good thoughts may enter in our hearts, some good actions, we start doing some good actions, good intentions, And these good intentions, these good actions are from what? From the effects of that good company that we were in, and it may have been that we were in that good company a while back as well. As the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, "Humul julasa la yashqa bim jalisu." That the righteous people are those that whoever come in a company, they will always be blessed by their company. Either you see the effects of it immediately, if not, then you'll definitely see the effects of it later on. And that is what Allah Ta'ala is indicating toward, or the message that we get from here, the lesson that we need to learn from this verse. And also the fact that here as well, there will be those who, from believers, here one was a believer, one wasn't a believer, but as in our company, we all believe in the hereafter. But there are those who believe in the hereafter more than others. And because there are those who believe more in the akhirat, they'll be willing to spend their wealth for the sake of the akhirat. Who do understand that yes, whatever I give in charity here is not just going in vain, we're not just losing that money, but what? It is going for something in the akhirat. That's why in one narration, in one riwayat, it is mentioned that when this Jannati will go in Jannat, and then when he'll go in Jannat, then he will say as well, that this house that I see, this land that I see, this wife that I see, they are much more beautiful than or better than that which my companion had. And it will be told to him that yes, this is what you had purchased as well. So in this way, whatever good a person does do here, we should have the yaqeen that yes, we will be rewarded for it in the hereafter. And it is a haqiqat, it is a reality. It is all, we're sending the reward and we're sending the good deeds for the hereafter so that we can reap it. And there will be those who are weak in the iman. So not that the disbelievers are weak in the iman. And because they're weak in the iman, they know that we should do good deeds, they know that we should give charity, but they're not so convinced as well. Or they're not so much willing to do for the hereafter than that of this world. But their understanding will be, our mentality will be, no, rather do for this world, rather spend and get that plot of land here, rather get your house established here, rather have your things done, material here in this world. And then we'll look towards the akhirat and see what we can do for the akhirat. And in that what happens is, our whole lives go by just in this manner, that we are just trying to make this world, and we didn't get the opportunity to do anything for the akhirat. And fortunate are those people, intelligent are those people, who will give preference to the abode of the hereafter over that of this world. That let me make my akhirat first, and then along with that let me do that which needs to be done with regards to this dunya. And blessed are those who are able to balance both and are able to do both. Who are able to do for the akhirat as well as establish the dunya as well. So they are fine, they've established whatever they need to here in this world. And when it comes to choosing or a compromise, then they rather compromise this world and not the akhirat. Whereas what we will do is, when we know that there is that opportunity of what? Either here or there. And by here or there, we don't mean that here a person is now, if they give in charity, then they're going to find themselves in a very poor situation and difficult situation. No. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that the best of sadaqah and zahril ghina is that charity wherein a person does not become poor after it. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says the best of charity is the one that a person gives in such a manner that something still remains for them. Because if a person gives in charity in such a manner that they've given everything and now they have nothing left. And now when they face poverty, in future, if they have the chance to give in charity, they say, no, I've learned my lesson. They won't want to, they'll be put off giving in charity. So Nabi Sallallahu says, unless a person is of the stature of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, who gave everything away in the way of Allah ta'ala, if a person is able to do that qurbani, who themselves are prepared for that, their family members are prepared for that, because even if the husband, for instance, or the breadwinner, he is willing to give everything in charity, but then there are those upon whom it is wajib for them to maintain. So you cannot give everything in charity and not maintain those who you're supposed to be maintaining, because their rights are first. You need to maintain them first, it's wajib upon you. So if they are willing to as well, then a person gives everything in charity. When that isn't the case, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, give in such a manner that you've done charity, you've given in charity, and you have something left in your pocket as well. So in the same way, If you are able to do for this world as well as the hereafter, then this is the great ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nurun ala nur, as you say. Bounties of Allah ta'ala both here in this world and in the hereafter. So, good company, those will encourage us to do good. This is something that is, we will always see the fruits of it. And this happens a lot of times, people will have friends and that. And maybe a person does what he has, makes the intention that, look, I'm going to go for Hajj. He has the intention that I'm going to go for Hajj. But he has a friend and he says to him, you can always go for it later on in life, isn't it? Come on, you've got kids at the moment, you've got kids growing up, you've got this going on, you've got this on, you've got that on, and come on now. Isn't it? This is not a time to be doing that. Whereas, yes, it is a time because this person has understood that, look, Hajj is farz on me. Hajj is farz on me, so I've got the money to do Hajj. I've got the money to do Hajj, Hajj is farz on me. Whereas the other is saying to him, no, this is not the time, you need that money, keep that money for this or for that. And then sometimes what happens is that this person who had made the intention goes home and thinks about it and then thinks, he's got a point. Can't tell, things, the way things are at work, for instance. And what if I do lose my job, or what if this happens, or what if that's going to happen? Then, maybe, look, I'm still young, I can always go for Hajj later on. I can always go for Hajj later on. And that's it. It's just those few words that are there that can put a person off. And it has happened. Sometimes persons are intending to go for Hajj, and somebody who has been for Hajj and had a bad experience may just have some bad comments that they've made of their experience, and that's it, that puts another person off from going for Hajj. And that is who? Somebody who is committed and wanting, made the intention, everything, look, I'm going to go for Hajj. Or any other neki for that matter. All intentions are there. And this person will just put that spanner in the wheel. There's just such a comment there. And that's it, that is from shaitan, and that then changes the whole mindset of an individual. Whereas if it's good company, then that person will do what? They will encourage you. They'll say, no, he's right. Hajj is farz on you. Or they'll ask, look, is Hajj farz on you? Yes, it is. Then no, for sure. You need to go. Don't worry about the rest because it's farz on you. If you're going to delay it, how do you know whether you'll get that opportunity later on or not? So it is farz on you. Go do the Hajj. Allah Ta'ala will give you. Allah Ta'ala will give you. So they'll give you good advice. And yes, there may be those who Hajj is not farz upon them. But they just have that desire to go for Hajj, they want to go for Hajj. So they now wanting to borrow money from people just to fulfill that desire. So if they have good company, they'll explain to them as well, don't do that. Don't get yourself into debt wherein Hajj isn't farz upon you. And when it isn't farz upon you, then look, when the day comes, when the time comes, then you go for it just for a moment, just save and carry on as you are. So this just shows how important it is for a person to be in good company. So this person will say, قالت الله إن كدت لتردين. He, the believer, will say, by Allah, you almost destroyed me. ولولا نعمة ربي لكنت من المحضرين. If it were not for the bounty of my Rabb, then it shows that Iman that Allah Ta'ala has given us is the great bounty of Allah Ta'ala. Then we too would have been لكنت من المحضرين. I would also have been from those brought forward. And then it says, أفما نحن بميتين. The people of Jannat will ask, is it not so that we shall not die again? I mean, after ending Jannat, this is not out of questioning, but this is just for affirmation. إِلَّا مَوْتَدَنَا الْأُولَى وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمُعَذَّبِينَ. Except for our first death, which means the death that already took place here in this world, وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمُعَذَّبِينَ, and we will not be punished. So this is when a person is given sort of some glad tidings about something that, look, if you... One example, you have some schemes. You have certain schemes. Like you have the scheme of Motability. And in that, a lot of things are covered, for instance. And which are, a lot of good things are covered there, for instance. So then the person says, so that means we don't have to pay road tax. That means we don't have to pay insurance. It means this. Which means what? So they see all the perks that are there. So out of enjoyment of that, they're saying, so it means we don't do this, we don't do this. So the Jannatis then will say, so it means we will not die again. So it means that that's it. That was it. Meaning the one death that we had in this world, and that's it now. So that is out of just reaffirming, out of happiness that, look, this is so good for us. That we're not going to die now. That it's not a case of we're going to Jannat, but in Jannat we're going to die. So we're only going to live in Jannat temporarily. But the death we have is a death that we've completed already. Inna hadha lahu al-fawzul azim. Undoubtedly, this is the greatest success. So what is Fawzul Azim? Entry into Jannat. Because there's no U-turn there. You're not going to be taken out from Jannat. This is the greatest success. لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. It is for this, when it is for something like this type of success, that those who wish to act should act. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. Undoubtedly, this is the greatest success. And it is for this type of success, فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. Those who wish to act should act. Meaning, those who want such type of action, such type of success, how is it going to come? It's not going to come by just doing no ibadat of Allah Ta'ala. It's not going to come by not making any mujahada, not doing anything at all. But it says here, فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. And this is amal. You're going to have to do something for it. If you think that you're going to have nice Jannat and everything, and all the bounties of Jannat by doing what? Sleeping away at night and not even waking up for Fajr Salat at all. Spending the entire day here, there, wherever you want to, how you want to. Without any Zohar, Salah, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, nothing at all. You expect without doing any of these things, it's not going to happen that way. You're going to need to do something. And also if you want what? If you want a really good Jannat as well, everybody's level is going to be different as in Jannat. So just the way you have an opportunity as well that look, you can either go for tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3. Either you can have exclusive VIP or premium or standard or whatever, package which are there. So standard Jannat is there. But standard is, standard Jannat is obviously uncomparable to anything itself. Now, if we have that opportunity, we don't want the standard. We immediately, the first thing is we ask is, look, tell us about the premium one. Isn't it? We all want to know what's the premium, how do we get to there as well? So Jannat as well. Either we just go for the standard Jannat, or we do what? Standard Jannat is every believer will go in Jannat. And the other is, look, we want a bit better Jannat than that. Then it means what? Wake up for Fajr, but read it at home. But we want better Jannat than that. Better Jannah than that, you wake up and you go to the masjid for Fajr Salat. Isn't it? The state is there, isn't it? There will be that person who thinks that I am reading my Fajr Salat, but let me read at home. Same thing, isn't it? I am reading my Salat. So, do I really need to exert myself? And the other is the one who is doing that extra. Is getting up, getting out of the bed, getting to the masjid. For what? فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. For that extra that is there. That person who reads his first after reads first salat, he says, well, I've read my first salat, do I need to do anything extra? That's all standard now. And those who I want the premium, they read the sunnahs as well, reads nawafil as well, do charitable work, rectify their character, do so many other things, meaning as many neki and goodness as possible, so what? To achieve greater and greater success in the hereafter. So the better Jannat we want and the better comfort we want in the hereafter, for that we're going to have to فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. We're going to have to do something for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the understanding and tawfiq. And Allah ta'ala grant us all the highest abode in Jannatul Firdaus. That's the VIP, whatever you give, Jannatul Firdaus. That's Jannatul Firdaus. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.